Salutations readers, welcome back to my channel. My name is Nkechi, and for today I'm going to talk about Water Moon by Samantha Sotto Yambao. Now, as y'all can tell in the title of this video, I did DNF this book. I did get this book as an e-arc thanks to Del Rey. So thanks to Del Rey for an advanced reader copy in exchange for an honest review. Now granted, again, I don't usually review DNFs, but I feel like this was warranted because I did get through a pretty good chunk of this book. I did stop reading at around 41%. And I did say that I've been wanting to do more dedicated reviews, and honestly, despite the fact I did DNF this book, I do have a lot of thoughts to say about why I did DNF this book. And I also know that there are people who have definitely enjoyed and really love this book. So again, take my review as a grain of salt. There's plenty of people who have read it and really loved it and enjoy it. Maybe even a favorite book of the year so far. But for me, this was a complete miss, unfortunately. The book did come out on January 14th, 2025. And I'm just here to share y'all why I did not think it was worth to keep reading this book. This will be a spoiler-free review. I can only say as much as what I've read up to 41%. So if things change past that, well, I don't know, because I didn't read that far into it. But yeah, so this will be spoiler-free. I will not talk more spoilers about this book, I promise you. But first off though, let's actually talk about what this book is even about in case you're not even sure what this book is. You just clicked on the video and you were curious about my thoughts as to why I DNF'd it. So this book takes place in the back streets of Tokyo, Japan, and there's something magically hidden in like a ramen restaurant where lies a pawn shop where only people who are lost can pawn their life choices with their deepest regrets. Hana wakes on her first day as the next owner of this pawn shop and finds it ransacked, with her father, the previous owner, missing and a priceless acquisition stolen. Then Keishin, a physicist from the United States coming to Japan on a work trip, walks into the ransacked pawn shop and offers to help Hana. Together, they journey through a mystical world to find Hana's father and the stolen choice. This is an adult fantasy that actually has a romantic subplot. I mean, and the fantasy is definitely more like a whimsical fantasy. Now, I was intrigued to request an e-arc of this book because I thought the premise was really interesting. Like a pawn shop where you can pawn away life choices with your deepest regrets. That sounded so cool. And of course, though, the cover was absolutely beautiful. It was just gorgeous. I mean, look at it. I love this cover, you know? And it also felt reminiscent of like Studio Ghibli, but specifically with like My Neighbor Totoro and Ponyo, if you're familiar with those films. So with that in mind, I did expect this book to be quite whimsical with possibly lyrical writing and just see where the story took me. And unfortunately, I felt like I was definitely whisked away, but then I was realizing that, wait a minute, we still have a lot more page time. We still have time on the pages left. We got a lot more book left to go. So what are we doing here? And also the romantic subplot part, yeah, that also was not helpful for me. But let's get back into the writing style. So again, I did thought of this book possibly having lyrical writing. Unfortunately, the writing was not lyrical, at least not to me. I did find the prose itself to be fine. It did make it easier to read through the pages, that's for sure. But also the chapters are short. They're not very long. And because of that, therefore, we get a lot of chapters. And personally, unpopular opinion, I'm not really a fan of chapters that are less than 5 pages. I'm just not. Because that would mean that I have a lot of chapters to go through until I feel like we have a plot moving. And I do know there's definitely a personal preference as far as chapter length, but it does mess up, at least in my mind, the pacing of the story and how far we're supposed to be going through the story. Because sure, I was definitely getting through all the pages, but then I was like, wow, I'm getting through the book so quickly. And yet, we're only about a third of the way through. And I was like, I don't want to keep reading now because I just feel like we should be done by now. Because again, I'm reading through all these pages on these chapters and I'm like, when are we going to get to the meat of this, you know? Like I said, with like the story, I mean, sure, we're trying to find like what happened to Hana's father, but also the choice that was stolen. Like, did he take it? Most likely the father took it. And then why? And then that's the whole mystery part. I'm kind of just like, why are we taking so long to get to this mystery part? Like the story itself has a mystery subplot. But I found that the mystery subplot lacked enough intrigue for me to keep going. Like the book is nearly 400 pages and I truly felt like this book should have been half the length. I just think it was just way too long for what it was. And the writing style was not really helping me to like get through it in a way that I feel like in the zone with like the story or anything like that. Because even then, when we go to these different places in this like mystical world, we don't really last very long. Hence the short chapters. We don't last long in these places. Now, granted, there are a few chapters that are a little bit longer than like 5 pages or anything like that. I mean, I did have like an e-arc, so like page length is kind of weird to figure out and determine. But I can definitely tell that there's certain chapters that are longer than others. But I did felt like we didn't particularly linger in those places because we don't end up going back to those places. We go from one place here to another place here to another place here to another place here, and I'm kind of just like, okay, but are these other places gonna be relevant or only relevant for that particular scene? I don't really know. I only stopped at 41%. Maybe we'll come back to those places later on in the book. But as far as I knew, I was not gonna get what I thought we would initially, and the writing style was just not helpful. And it's not like it's a very deep story either. Like the idea of like feeling regret and making certain life choices, sure, that definitely sounds like something like emotional for sure, but I didn't felt that. It wasn't enough oomph in the writing style, if you know what I mean. So therefore I lost the momentum to really keep going and to even care about what was going on. So let's actually start talking about a little bit of the characters. So as far as the main characters, like the main ones, Hana and Kenshin are definitely like the main characters. I think Hana is more so like the main protagonist, and Kenshin is a pretty close second. As far as their character development, again, only up to 41%. The characters actually were also a pretty major reason why I did DNF this book, because I couldn't really find myself really caring too much for Hana or Kenshin. I definitely felt sympathetic to a little bit about their problems. Like for Hana, she grew up in this pawn shop. She's actually a little bit sheltered, honestly. She only knows about her own world. Never seen like our world, I guess, like Kenshin's world or anything like that. And she's not like she's really close with anyone besides like her father. She didn't really have much friends or anything. And she didn't really get much of choices, like big life choices at all. That's not part of the thing that she gets to do. Her thing is that she's gonna be the owner of the pawn shop, and she's gonna do that for the rest of her life, and yeah. And I'm like, okay, sure. And then Kenshin's problem is that he has too many life choices to go through, and he's kind of like, especially as a physicist as well, he's always wanting more out of his life, I guess, or finding more regarding the universe or something like that. I don't really know. But then when these two meet with each other, it's like instant attraction, at least definitely on Kenshin's side, and I'm just like, really? Like, I don't know. I always have a problem with like instant attraction. It always doesn't work with my brain as an aromantic asexual. It just doesn't work for my brain. Okay, so maybe this is more of a personal thing, but it didn't work. I was like, what are we doing? And honestly, even as I kept reading on anyways, it's like, yeah, okay, sure, instant attraction, whatever. I can relate, but let's keep going. But I actually felt like the chemistry between the two didn't really make any sense to me. I didn't buy that at all. Like, they obviously have never met someone like the other, but in Hana's case, she's pretty much sheltered, and for Kenshin's sake, he always wants to be so close with her, always so, like, in her personal space. And honestly, I found that a little bit too icky. It was actually a little bit uncomfortable on how much he just really wanted to, like, touch her, be so close to her. I'm like, okay, dude, like, back up. Please, back the fuck up. Give her the lady some space, okay? And then for Hana, she's always like, oh, his eyes, the way he looked. I'm like, girl, please, get over yourself. Like, I don't know. There's just nothing there for me to be like, oh yeah, I'm totally here for this growing romantic attraction. For them to be, like, possibly falling in love, I guess. And I'm just like, I don't believe that. I definitely wish there was more regarding the characters. Maybe if they had a little bit more depth, I guess, that would have been a little bit more helpful. At least intrigued me a little bit more to keep reading. But other than that, I was just not here for the characters. And as far as like the world building, again, at 41%, this mystical world is indeed very confusing. It has some rules, but since we keep moving from place to place and we don't linger those places very long, I felt very confused as to what this world really looked like. Especially when I'm thinking of something Studio Ghibli-esque. It doesn't matter which Studio Ghibli film you've seen. It doesn't matter how many times you've seen it. You can still understand the world based on what you see and what's been a little bit explained to you. And the book is not explained enough, and I'm not visualizing what I'm reading in a way that actually makes sense for my brain. So I'm kind of just like confused the entire time, and not in a fun way either. This is not a interesting, like, oh, this is kind of like cool and weird, but also whimsical. No, I'm just like, okay, I'm kind of like, don't get it, and I'm really bored. So can we please move on, you know? And I was really interested as well to keep reading, because like I wanted to understand like this, maybe like the possible theme, what this book was trying to say regarding regrets and stuff, because especially since that is I made it your theme is regarding regrets, fate, and destiny, especially regarding Hana, like the way she grew up, that she knows what her fate and her destiny is. And for Kenshin, he wants to know what that is, because it's unknown, because of the fact that you can make certain choices that could either deviate from the path that's really your fate, or just something you can make your own fate. And for him, that's like a lot, you know? And I'm kind of like, sure, that could be intriguing, but like, again, like I said, regarding the writing style, regarding the pacing, regarding the fact of these characters, I'm not intrigued enough to keep reading about this theme. So in conclusion, this was just a complete miss for me, unfortunately. The characters really did bog it down for me though. Since I wasn't sure on where we're going the plot and the mystery behind Hannah's father's disappearance and why he would disappear, if he maybe just abandoned her even, if that's the case. I don't know, it's just like, I can see this really working for other people. I see why other people really enjoyed it, but for me, this was just a miss. I just couldn't keep reading this. And like I said, I'm definitely in the minority here. There's a lot of people who have already read this book and really enjoyed it. So again, take this review with a grain of salt. And as far as reading this author's works in the future, I don't really know. Maybe I will give her another chance, but that depends on any future projects that could intrigue me. I know she already has other previous work, so this is not a debut novel of hers. She has written other books before, but this writing style definitely then has left me a little bit left to be desired, and I probably won't check out more books from her, but we shall see. And just to give you all just a little short list of content warnings for as far as I got into this book, because despite it being whimsical, it does have a darkness into it. Like, there is some heavy stuff going on here. We do have grief featured here, death of parent, for sure is mentioned while it was in the past, and then we do have abandonment because Kenshin does have abandonment issues. That's pretty much all I can really say about Water Moon as far as what I know. Now, comment down below your thoughts on my review. Let me know if you've read Water Moon. What are your thoughts on it? If you've read it, did you love it? Did you thought it was okay? If you've tried to read Water Moon and then DNF'd it, let me know, because I'm actually really curious to see if anyone else has thought the same thing or felt the same way about this book as I did. If not, it's fine, but I am indeed very, very curious though to hear what y'all have to say about it. But anyways, yeah, thanks y'all again for coming on to this video and to hear my thoughts as to why I did DNF my e-arc of Water Moon by Samantha Sotto Yambao. And now if you made it this far into the video, you're not sure what to say, but you want to leave me an emoji, let me know you're here. We do have a couple options. We can do a city emoji, like city buildings, or the moon emoji, like the full moon specifically. Either one of those emojis would work. But anyways, thank you again for coming on to this video, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye.